Welcome to the channel and this new playthrough for Cities Skylines Campus DLC. This DLC was released on the 21st of May 2019 if you're watching this in the future, and the DLC represents a major overhaul of the education system within the game. Now it's important to point out that even though you can buy the DLC, that gives you access to the new specialised university areas, which I'll talk about once we get in the game. There's also a free update associated with this DLC where there have been significant changes to the education in the base game. Now, if any of you guys are not familiar with the game, before this DLC was released, that you had three levels of education. You had kind of very primary education, you had high schools, you had universities. But the way the education mechanic actually worked was that a child or a young adult could go to any one of those three educational establishments and get an education all the way from basic right through to university. They didn't have to go to specific buildings. Well, that's now completely changed with this DLC. What happens now is that a child has to go to the primary education, then high school, then university to progress up the level. Now, I've got no idea how that is going to be represented in the game, so that's something we're going to look at. That's a quick overview of the DLC. So why am I doing this playthrough? Well, to be honest, I haven't played Cities Skylines for about 4 or 5 months, mainly because I've been too busy, and this DLC is just too good an excuse to pass up to get back into the game. Also, I have not played a series on my new PC, so I'm really dying to try out the performance and the graphics on my new machine. Moving on, what is going to be the objective of this playthrough? Well, I did consider picking up one of my old cities and then just doing what I think a lot of other people have done. They've dived straight into the campus specialization. But to be honest, what really intrigues me is the new education system. I want to see how that's going to work within the city, because education is very key to building successful cities in Cities Skylines. So what I've done is I've stripped out the few mods that I do use. This playthrough is going to be pure vanilla, no mods, because another thing that I've found is that when you watch some YouTubers, they're doing all sorts of things and sophisticated managing traffic and all that. And I think for anyone who's new to the game or just wants to look at the game, that can be very confusing, especially if they go out and buy the game, because suddenly that cool feature that this person was using isn't there because it's a mod. Therefore, this playthrough is going to be very much on vanilla. If things get a bit desperate, I will maybe pull in a mod. And what we're going to do is build a city up from scratch on one of the new maps. There's 5 new maps here, which is Barren Bay, Murky Coast, Northwood Hills, Roslyn Peninsula and Wolf Creek. I've checked out all 5 of them. They're all very interesting maps, but the one we're probably going to go with is Northwood Hills, even though we don't have an external ship connection, but I think we can live without that. So that's the map we're going to be playing on. And of course, we're going to be playing left-handed traffic because I live in the UK and I just can't get my head around right-hand traffic. And returning to the objectives of this Let's Play, what we're going to do is build up a city, see if we can work with the free element of the education. Of course, we will get to the university campuses, and of course, we've got parks and industries. So we're just going to see how we can pull this all together. And this is the reason why I've gone for a map with a 72% area of building. Let's just get straight into this, guys. While the load screen is running, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a warning. This is a fresh install, so the game may do a few quirky things like make suggestions because it is a brand new install. Also, as I say, I'll give you the warning that I haven't played for a little while. I've been playing a lot of workers and resources, so I'm going to have to get used to the controls again. So hello, yes, thank you. I'm just going to pause the game now. As I said, I've looked at these maps, but I haven't looked at them in detail. And one thing I like to do before I start building anything is just come out like this and see where the main areas are. So we've got a nice flat area over there. Also got a rail outline there. Got a flat area there. We've got mountains to the south, which is probably not going to be particularly brilliant. And if we flip this way, yeah, I mean, that's looking good. This river valley could be interesting. And we're just gonna flip this way, I think. Have a look this way as well. Yeah, so our primary focus of the city is to move north, and maybe we could get up onto the plateaus. I mean, it'd be really cool to build a university campus up on top of one of these plateaus. So let's get down to the basics of building a city, and I've got to remember how to do it, to be honest. So the first thing we got to do is the ritual of just drop that in, delete that because that unlocks water and power. Yeah, I've got a feeling that we may have to go for a power station because there's not a lot of way in power, and we don't have a lot of space, so we can't put a row of wind turbines up through there. So that's going to be interesting. Of course, the next thing we're going to need is water, so we're looking at an outfall there and an intake. I don't think we need to go that far because the current's quite strong, so I think we can just put these maybe a little bit upstream. So and for any of you guys not familiar with the game, is that your outfall always has to be downstream for your intake, otherwise what will happen is you will poison your residents and they will not stay very long. And for some reason they get very upset very quickly and decide that they don't want to play. Okay, I've got an unhappy face there. Question is, where are we going to build something here? My instinct is we're gonna have to come across here, so my instinct is to push out a little bit of money, and kind of normally I would build a roundabout here, but I think what we're going to do is maybe just put in our main access roundabout. No. Maybe we will come a bit closer and go for a 180 roundabout here. Oops. Oh, seems really strange to be back in Cities Skylines. I must admit, I do miss it. I find it a very relaxing game to play. So we've got this here, and and of course I've built it the wrong way round, but I'll soon fix that. I mean, it doesn't cost anything to do this. Let's have that there, and we go freestyle. We should be able to get a nice hookup like that, and like that, and I'm just going to reverse that. Now the question is, where are we going to drop the power station? It's going to be coal fired. It's going to be roadside, so if we put the power station up here, what we could do is probably put the industry here. Now I think that might work. So, now the industry is only going to be temporary, because with the industries DLC, the whole what happens is the generic industry needs to be moved. So again, sorry for the slight aside, guys, but what you need to do is when you're building the city, when you're starting from scratch here with limited money, what you want to do is don't worry too much about this is what the city is going to look in the final thing. What you want to do is just build a village to get yourself up and running. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to go up into the hills like that, and we can get a little bit of a hookup like that. And I think what we will do is, if I put the road up like that and like that, what we can do then is just put, and what you want is your power station close to your road access, because what you're effectively doing is importing coal, and because you're importing coal into your city, you need the trucks need to be able to get in and connect with your power station. Actually, what we could do, we put this up here, that would be far enough away, and that will now give me the power. So what we'll do is hook up a nice power line across to here. Of course, we've got to connect up everything like that, and of course what we need to do now is just hook up the dual system, and this can come across, hook up that, and of course we're going to have to come up 440. That will bring us up there. 440 is the min-max ideal number for spacing out your water grids perfectly. We can come down 440 that way. This is going to judder, yep. So what you're going to do is just connect in like that. And of course what we need to do is lay out our residential. My inclination is for my residential to come expand down this way. And now the residential will be quasi-permanent, so we do need to have this laid out fairly well. If we put in something like that, and like that, reverse this. Oh, it's, and of course I've done this the wrong way round again. Maybe I should have adopted right-hand drive. Let's snick out that there, and what we're going to do is get here, and of course when you're starting out a new city like this, it's very difficult to avoid everything being gridded, but I think it's okay. I mean, I know some people get very upset about the cities being highly gridded, but okay, let's just knock that out. I'd rather have this bit here stable and that bit not true. Okay. And what we're going to do is start with a tiny little bit of residential just in there, and the reason I've come over here like that is that we should be able to pick up a power line through to here, and that power line should stop there, and it's time to unpause the game, and we'll just jazz it up a little bit. And of course the next thing we need to do is get in here, whack that budget down, and we're just going to knock this budget down as well because we're using a power station. Just want to check, make sure, yep. Because at the moment there's very little demand, and that will save us some money. And we're going to get down to 883. I think what we can was the water's this way, so we push out that way like that, and if we zone out a little bit now, whoops, like that. If we start zoning down like this, just to get those residents in and running, and we're just going to pop another 440, and I think we don't have to go overboard with the problem there. So, and we got a little bit of commercial growing up now, so what we will do is, oops, that's going to annoy me. And what we'll do is we're going to put out a little bit of commercial this side as well. And again, we're just going to come down 30 like that, and we're just in the commercial alongside this road here. I don't like putting the buildings on this road here because this road is the one that's going to take the traffic, so what we'll do is just push that through like that. You can come through like that. Of course, we've got no footpaths to connect this up, so our residents are going to have to come through here. They should come through quite nicely. Got no buildings to act as a connector either, so oops, I didn't mean to slow it down that much. Sorry about that, guys. And what we're going to have to do is just get you there. Hopefully you will connect. If not, we can just you show him, yeah, you're okay, you've hooked power. And of course what we can do now is get a little bit of industry going here because you'll be on the power grid, so I want to leave a little bit of a space here for my landfill site once we get to the next level. I think pretty sure it's garbage. Okay, so yeah, once we get here, we're going to unlock the landfill and elementary school. That's it, elementary. I called it primary. Apologies, guys. Living in the UK, schools for small children tend to be either called junior schools or primary schools, not elementary schools. And I think the term here is elementary school. Yeah. I actually went to a junior school. Why is that power not hooking up? Don't play stupid. So we'll just hook that through. That means that will allow us to avoid putting up any power lines. Get water. Yeah, we've got the connections through now. So we're looking good. We've got a little bit of industry bonking in here. And I mean, we can keep now padding out this industry here. And if I want more, I can always expand this way as a secondary contingency. So we're just about to get into profit, which is good. And we've got a little bit of space here for the landfill. And of course what we can do is take these power lines down because this should connect through. Just getting a little bit more demand for residential, and of course we're just going to annoy everybody because I'm just going to do that. And we're going to come out here and connect that up. Now what I want to do is try and keep this residential area fairly tight, because if I remember correctly, let me see, is it this one? Yeah. Once we get to Worthy Village, we're going to unlock self-sufficient buildings and organic local produce, and that's a building type I want to go from. That was introduced as part of Green Cities, but the downside is that if I zoned over this and rezoned it, everyone would move out, and that would be catastrophic for the city. So what I'm going to do is probably when we come down here, I will zone this area for the new bit as our population expands down this way. So we're now in profit, which is really great. And what we need to do now is just kind of look after the city, let it flow, fulfill its demands. Actually, we've got a little bit of cash through. And this is not that big, so I think we're going to have a change of position for the garbage disposal. And what we're going to do is just, oops, well, sometimes it's easier to go that way and then reverse. And I suppose what I could do is, now I've got all the links. Oops, no, I don't want that. I'll just take, there we are, and we are now a little hamlet. We can get loans, we got education and recycling, and we got a medical centre, so we're just going to, that's something not right there. That's the wrong way round. That one was the wrong way round. That's why the truck came up here and did the wrong thing. And what we're going to do is we put up this here, and then we'll shove the garbage right up here out of the way. I mean, eventually we will go to clean garbage collection. And just going to let the game run. And of course, the one thing I want to get in ASAP is education, and we're going to go with my inclination is to put the education here, so that it will, when we have to expand this way, which is very much the way we're going to have to go, is that we can then this school, or this elementary school, will then provide cover for that area there. Don't really like putting residential this close to, but I don't think we've got a lot of choice. We're just going to put in this area here like that, and we've still got a little bit of cash to spend, so I think what we can do is come down like that. You can come in. I really want to put something in that area there. Now, as long as your water's running well, the medical clinic here isn't quite so important as over education. Let's actually have a look at the education. It says the elementary school educates young people for over a small area, 156 students. Let's see if we can now. We got children. It says uneducated, educated, well educated, highly educated. So what they've actually done now looks like they've actually got the levels there. So uneducated, never been to school, I presume. Education is elementary, well educated is high school, and highly education is university. And I wonder if that's reflected in this area. Yep, so they've actually changed those categories. So I've got a bit of a problem with water, so we're just gonna have to fill that area in there. And what I'm going to do is, while I'm looking at it, guys, I'll just pop that in across like that. And I think we can drop this across like that. Yeah, so industries now have multiple tiers, where I think before it was just uneducated and educated. So that shows how important education is. I'm trying to hold off from having to do this, but it looks like I'm going to have no choice. So we come down another block of 3 like that. I'm just going to, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go across in blocks of 4 like that. See if we can absorb this flow up here, and actually that can go out like that. That's not okay. That's gonna, we have to have a little bit of a gap here. That's annoying, so that's gonna have to come out because it's gonna annoy the heck out of me. Let's do it. Yeah, you're gonna have to come that way, and that means we can just sneak in a little bit of commercial up here, because I don't want to push this too far. Demand for homes is pretty high. I want to, so we're just gonna fill in down this side, leave this gap so that we can expand when we can buy a tile. I don't think I can buy a tile just yet. Nope. Well, we're getting very close to the next level, which is, where is it? Worthy Village, so we should be okay, guys. It's nice to be back in Cities Skylines. Right, we've got a little bit of industry, which we can... Right, so we've now reached Worthy Village. We've got emergency services, police department, nuke buildings. We can buy a new tile. More importantly, we've now got access to self-sufficient buildings. So what I'm going to do first is pause the game, and what we're going to do is get in here and just zone back down, and what we're going to do is paint this district in straight away like that. And we're just going to come now. These people are going to move out, so we're going to take a little bit of a hit, but we got a little bit of cash to do things with. And what we're going to do is make these into self-sufficient buildings. Now what self-sufficient buildings do, as you can see, it says consumes less electricity, produces less garbage, but generates 30% less tax income. So we're going to have to live with that. And what you will see is people will move out, but what I'm going to do is zone in straight away like that. So what happens is people will move out and then people will move back in again. And we're going to do something similar over here with the... And what I'm going to do is just zone over there. I'm going to zone down a little bit like this here in for the commercial. Oops. I want to, I just want the 1 here, and we're just going to smidge in like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to put that in for Berry Islands, and what we're going to do is zone this down here, and what should happen is these people should move out and back in again. I'm kind of inclined to. I've seen they've actually moved out, so I think what we will do is maybe just get a little bit more going in there. Now there's not much we can do about industry at the moment because industry's got no specializations. We haven't unlocked any of that area there. And next thing I really need to get in before things go badly wrong is a fire department. Fire is more crucial than the police. And I'm just trying to think. I think we're the fire department there, because the last thing you want is, say, a power station or any key buildings burning down. And wow, we got plenty of cash actually. I'm doing quite well for cash at the moment, so maybe we'll get a police department in as well. And we'll just chuck the police department in there. That should really start to level up the city. And since we got power problems, yeah, so okay, all we need to do is increase the budget a bit and just have a quick look. Yep. And of course we got water problem because we had a power problem. This is one of the chain effects, and because you can see now everything's now starting to level up quite nicely. We've got no water down here as well, so what we're going to do is 440 ounce. And I think what we can do now is we've got the cash for it, so I'm just going to extend this out like that. And so we're making money, the city's growing. And I think what we're going to do is just push this down like that, and you can come in and connect like that. And actually, you guys just extend a little bit more so that I don't have to keyhole this. So it looks like we have a problem with water budget, so we're just going to up the water budget as well. So is that sorting out? Okay. So how's the education standard going? It says educate more students. Just make sure. So this is nearly full, so we're going to need to keep an eye on that. And I'm very tempted to. What we're going to do now is just going to inch this up a little bit like that, and we're going to up a little bit and push this down here, because we are going to go for a green city if possible, or as green as possible. So just going to push that out like that. You can see people are moving out, so the population's going to shrink again, but it's not going to be a problem, guys. And I'm just going to push down like this. I'm just going to, oops. I'm just going to create another little zone like that. A little bit of a problem there, but it should be okay. And to compensate for everyone moving out, we're just going to put in, that's line of 4. Yep, so we're looking good there. We need some more commercial down this side, so oops. And again, just check the zoning. And we've now reached Tiny Town. So we got a lot more stuff now. This is where life starts to get interesting. We've got channels, we've got fences. We've opened up a park and freshwater outlet, biodome, vertical farm. So we've got park areas, industry, level 2 building, unique buildings, footballs and concerts. So let's just, we can have a look at that in a minute. Let me just get this zoned up. They're a bit bigger. Down here like this. Yes, I know I've got new buildings. I'll be right back. Just going to, okay, I'm just going to zone down this area like that. And our horrible industry over here is starting to say it needs some extra demands as well. I think what we can do is just keep shoving the industry up into this area for the moment. So just check. So we've got park area. Office, but we haven't got office specialization out there. We've got some farming industry and generic industry, so we can get some farming up and running. And of course what we can do is zone in a park area as well, so we can get a park running if we need it. Not like I feel a pressing need for it just at the moment. I think what we're going to do is just drop in a little bit of industry over here and just let the game run. So we've got a little bit more green residential here. That's coming in. This is building up quite nicely. And what else have we unlocked? So we got there, we got police. We've now got public library. Okay, what's the public library do? This is one of the new buildings that was added, and it says public library is a cultural institution which collects, stores books, films, newspapers, and everything is now made accessible to all citizens around the city. Borrowing library gives a small bonus to education within its radius. Okay, wow, that's big. But what we could do, didn't realise this was as big as it was. What we could do is put the library there, because eventually this will disappear. Actually, I'd love to. Well, we could put it right smack bang. I mean, I could be destructive. Yeah, sorry guys. We're going to put that there, and then we're going to compensate all you people who had to move out by giving you a bit more area here. Why are we getting power problems? Okay, power's saturating a little bit. So we're going to need to increase the power budget a little bit. While we're at it, let's just have a check. Water's okay. So we've got a nice new green deal building up here. So we've now got high school. Oh, so we could have built a high school, but we built a library instead. Never mind. I'm sure we will be okay, guys. How much will a high school cost? 24,000. We're going to need to plan where we're going to put the high school. We've got no real transport or anything here. And we've got a few unique buildings. It's a bit premature for unique buildings. And of course we've now got this opened up. Looks like I've got disasters enabled. That could be fun. And I think what we're going to do now is we need that power line. No, we've got a power link through here. So let's just get rid of this. That gives me a bit of freedom. Oops, you don't have a power connection. Okay. You now. And what we're going to do is get this connected up so that that will now go up. And whoops, what we're going to do is cross over to here and here, and then we're just going to drop down to connect to there. That will give the residents here a very quick way to get over to the industry over here. So this is looking good. We've got more residential demand coming in. And we're just going to shove that down here. And maybe we're going to put a nice line along here, this road here, like that. How's the garbage collection going? So we're already 6% full. So we need to think a bit more about that, but we could probably get another garbage collection there. I mean, I really want to get the public transport up and running, but I'm not going to do that in this part. Yeah, it's looking good, guys. I'm quite happy with this. We've got a bit more commercial demand, which we can put down here. Turn that back on so that it snaps. And we can check the zoning. Yep, the zoning is good. And you can just come down to here and we can stick a little bit more commercial on this side like that. And you don't have any water. Isn't that a surprise? 40 like that. That's no good. That juddered. So we're just going to come out. Okay, I'm a bit aware of the time. So we've got a power problem here again. Yep, we're really starting to drive the power problem. So budget, and what we're going to do is take this to 110%. Water's getting a bit low, so we're going to need to push up the water supply as well. And I think just to wind this part up, guys, what I'm going to do is I think the logical place to build is by that, because that means we can now expand our residences out this way. There's also a possibility that if we got the cash, oops, we've now reached Boomtown, and so we've now got new roads, we've got highways, we've got hot water pipe there, we've got wind turbine generators, we've got a cemetery which we're going to need to get in, we've got taxi depots, we've got public transport, we've got wave power. The wave power could be interesting. Let's just have a look at that, because we've got waves out here. How much does wave power station? We can't build it because we don't have a C. Thank you, game. And this is not, we don't really have the wind capability over here, so it looks like we may have to resort to another coal powered power station, which is going to be a pain, but we should be able to push this road up through here. It's incinerator. Okay, power. And what we could do is put that in there. That should then, okay, let's have a quick check of the power. Yeah, we're maxed out, so what we can do is just drop this down a little bit again. A bit more, just to keep the money flowing in. So the city's now growing really well, and I think what we're going to do is then going to come up through here. Now I'm not going to build anything along this edge. What I'm going to do is come out like this, and of course we're going to make sure that zoning extends outwards, because that's the way I want things are. In fact, what I'm going to do is whack in a whole raft of new housing up here, just like that, and we're just going to a whole raft in like that. So we're going to have to make sure there's water like this, and like this, and like this. And the other thing I want to get in is the high school, and we can't put that in, but we could probably put one up here. Actually, can we get one just on the end here? Yep. And that's looking good. And just to so I don't forget, guys, what we're going to do now is push this out. And it's going to hurt our population, but it will be okay. And that will let the population rebalance. We'll say we got our high school here with its students. So what should happen now is our education here, we've got, so we can say they've got young adults, and eventually the well-educated should start to appear. But this is where I'm going to leave it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this first episode in the series, and what we will do is continue to expand out this way, start to get some of this industry up and running, let the city grow, and then eventually we're going to start getting into the really interesting stuff. But until then, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.